Hello everyone, TJ here, and today I am joined by justsaiyan, who has just qualified for Division A in America's Grandmasters. Saiyan, how you doing today, man?
Pretty good. Kind of a rough stretch to the finish line, but sometimes you cut it close.
Yeah, you got there. You got there in the end, and that's what matters. So I think the big thing, that I wanted to talk with you about is you made a tweet saying that you're not going to be looking for a new team. You're taking a little bit of a step back, at least from going, hardcore into the competitive play. I just wanted to kind of hear from your words. What does that mean in totality? What are you? Is it just cutting down on practice hours? Is it just making sure you're exploring everything in your life? What does that taking a step back kind of mean from your perspective?
So the idea is like GM and NA to me right now is it's a shot at going to the World Championship, and that's kind of something that I'm still clinging on to. It was like 2018, that experience of Worlds right before new meta, learning all the new decks, and having such a crazy high stakes Hearthstone. But I think the reality is Worlds is not a consistent thing to aim for, and it's I'm 27. I'm a little bit past my prime when it comes to like competing in video games. So I decided I'm going to focus more on some other things and still try to compete in Hearthstone, because competing in Hearthstone has been such a great time for me and all the friends I've made and things like that. It doesn't feel right to give it up yet, but it is time to allocate more time to other things, in my opinion.
Well, finding balance is always a good thing too. Something that I've learned over time. I'm not a competitive player, but still have to keep up my game from time to time. Even with that, you still qualify for Division A. From what we've seen on stream, you still look to be one of the top players in Americas. Is that something you expected? Do you expect to come in and make Division A each season? Do you expect to come in and kind of still dominate, even with maybe not practicing 12 hours a day like you once did, or potentially once did?
Yes. Next
yes,
question.
That's it? NA is free? Is that
no,
that's
actually,
it?
Actually,
that's all you
TJ. So at the end of the tweet, I took like a jab at NA, right? Because it's esports. You take a jab at NA when you can. But I feel like people I think people took it a little bit too seriously, because also to me that means I'm also saying come take my spot, right? If there is a new hot talent in NA, I'm not at my peak, I'm past my prime. There's a free spot in GM for you, if you can do well, and I do get relegated, that's a free slot, less competition, more money for you guys, right? But to be honest, after making that tweet, going into week 3 with 5 points, I was like, yeah, so that's probably just going to come back and bite me, right? Immediately. So it was, it definitely didn't feel like I was going to make Group A, but I think my Swiss win rate was okay though. It was like 14-9 or something. And then it was just getting into top 8, 2 losses week 1, and it looked like I was going to have trouble again against like the group I was in, like Bloody Face, Eddie, and Monsanto. Like, pretty tough group, take your 50-50s there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it worked out in the end for you, and you have a little bit of a cushion going into the round robin. Do you still, you and Muzzy still live together?
We do.
So Muzzy has been, pretty clear about trying to look for a new team. Do you guys still practice together? Like, I know there it seems like there might be a little bit of like differing competitive drives between the two of you now, but are you guys still a practice group?
Yeah, we have a very large practice group, which is now comprised of like 3 or 4 former GMs, but it's still strong. Like, we have a lot of EU members, Muzzy and I from NA. We still share a lot of ideas week to week, so I don't see. Well, actually, I think I want to give more credit to the practice group, to be honest. So I think without opinions from like Yarla and Boar, I'd be a little more lost without putting in as many hours as I would used to. But I mean, Yarla and Boar are just superb as well. So I think we're still doing calls every week before deadline and things like that, and we're figuring out the meta together. So yeah, I think the practice group is still strong.
What about the Muzz stash? Does that intimidate you, walking around the apartment?
I'm only limited to, a few square feet when the mustache is around. I've got to watch my distance. But I think Muzzy's getting rid of it soon, right? It's
I think you mentioned that it's the last time that anybody's ever going to see it, but that could just be like a perfect setup for the ultimate comeback,
Oh yeah, when it comes down to the final weeks, whip it out again. For sure.
Let's get people hyped about it. So a lot of players have said that the Skullomance metagame has been, pretty fun and has also been like one of the more competitive metagames, especially when you consider the entire last year of Hearthstone, where Skullomance is the one that takes a little bit more time to learn, and some of the decks are a little bit harder to perfect. Do you agree with that? Do you think that it is one of the better competitive metagames that we've had for quite a while?
Oh man, I'm so at ends with this, TJ. Honestly, this question, like, it divides me in separate halves. Like,
okay,
on one half, like, I agree. I think the more decisions you have to make in a game, and the more unique the games are, the more skill and experience comes into play, right? But at the same time, every time I finish a long game on ladder or, whatever it may be, I look at the deck tracker and my opponent played more random cards than the amount of regular cards in his deck, right? So I think it comes to be a little bit too much when there's an endless amount of random generation for your end game. And then it's not so much about skill and tracking as just whoever draws or pulls out more final threats, right, as the game progresses.
It's kind of the age-old Hearthstone argument of, what takes more skill is navigating a solved environment or navigating an unknown environment. Like the more variables you have of randomness, does that add to skill, or is it taking 100% known information and making the best decision with that? So
yeah, I mean, that's
I don't think that one's ever going to be solved.
Yeah, I think my stance is just the solve environment's better. So I brought Mally Druid versus like Highlander Priest and all the random effects. But
well, it's funny because you say it was a 100% solved environment, but Bloodyface completely forgot that you had a Malagos in your deck.
I mean, he saw one from the portal. He messaged me that he thought I'd used a Moonfire earlier, but he might have like confused it with the Crystal Powers or something.
Okay. It appeared as though he looked at his deck tracker, which would come on the side of his screen, and double checked that you had played, that a Malagos had been on the board.
Oh, yeah.
Because there was a Malagos that game from the Dream Portal, and if you're not, if a Malagos comes on the board from a Dream Portal, it still shows up on a deck tracker bar.
Right, but you gotta be like, I mean, it's a free Malagos, right? So you have to have like a sense, right, between the free one and the one that I took my entire turn to play. I don't know. Don't know. But it was a rare mistake from him. But that's one of those like 100% solved situations. Like, okay, your opponent's out of stuff. There's exactly 12 damage that he can do. Stay above 12. It's kind of funny because that's a perfect example of there's so much randomness that's being thrown into the game, and then it causes you to be distracted from the actual solved portion of the game. I mean, yeah, definitely. He's got to deal with random stuff every turn, so it's just...
Yeah, pretty crazy. You kind of mentioned it in your tweet about taking a step back, about how the friends that you've made along the way, and looking forward to the next in-person Masters tour. But what's kind of let's say this pandemic stuff lasts for a long time. What are you looking forward to the most with Hearthstone besides like seeing people next in person? What do you think is like the thing that you're most excited about experiencing next? With taking into consideration your taking a step back statement.
The next big thing in Hearthstone, if the pandemic keeps going on,
Yeah.
no live events.
Is there nothing there? Is it just
I mean, I like cross-region play a lot and competing against players across the world. I mean, outside of Worlds and Masters Tours, I guess the next big Masters Tour is the next guaranteed cross-region event, so that's maybe the coolest thing.
Okay. Well, that's in a week and a half, my friend.
Oh yeah, it's coming up.
It's coming up. It is coming up quick. Well, you can, as your tweet said, you can 0-3 and then virtually explore Montreal with the boys.
Oh yeah, we're all hopping a call and playing GeoGuessr after the thing.
Or just like syncing up your Google Maps. Sounds like a fun time. All right, man. Well, that is all the questions I had for you. I appreciate you taking the time to talk to me, and good luck in your matches this week.
All right, thank you, TJ.
And if you guys out there who are watching this interview want to check out more information about Hearthstone Grandmasters or any of the upcoming Masters tours, you can check out all that information at playhearthstone.com/esports.